Hello, everybody. Andre here, and we're launching today, with God's help, a brand new series of topics from the Hebrew Bible and from some Hebrew mindset, some Hebrew words that help us understand the scriptures and God better, and our Christian, understanding better. And today we're going to be talking about dare to be good. That's the topic of today's message. Dare to be good. And today's topic, is connected with the Hebrew notion of chutzpah. The word chutzpah, say chutzpah. That's right. This word chutzpah means in Hebrew audacity, or having the nerve or boldness to do something. This word is used both in the negative sense, and we will also focus today on the positive sense of this word. When we talk about audacity, having the nerve to do something, being brazen about something, we often, imply something negative. People who get in front of somebody in line, people who push their way through the crowd, hitting everybody with their elbows, just trying to get what they want. Nobody likes people like that, and probably we've come across people like that. And you don't want to be such a person, that's for sure. It's very ungodly. There are people like that in all over the world, in Russia, in Israel, in America, in Europe. There are people like that. They're just brazen, flat out brazen. There is a joke that I heard some time ago about a businessman and a beggar. And the businessman was helping that beggar on a monthly basis, gave him a certain amount of money every month. And then the businessman's wife got kind of sick and had to go to a special clinic to get better. And so the businessman came over to the beggar and said, "Buddy, you know what? I'm sorry, but this month I cannot help you as much. My wife needs to get better in that clinic, and I hope you understand." And this brazen beggar looked at the businessman and said to him, "You mean you sent your wife to that clinic?" The businessman said, "Yeah." The beggar said, "And all that at my expense?" You know, that's what you call being brazen in the negative sense of the word. People just not appreciating what they get. They just want to get what they want, and they don't care about anybody else around them. Like I said, you don't want to be such a person. But what can we do to use this chutzpah in a positive way? Can we be bold for good? Can we have the nerve and audacity to do something for God's causes? Can we dare to be godly and to be good and to do good for God's glory? Of course, we can, with God's help. I will give you a few examples from God's Word. Genesis 18 says that Abraham, when he heard that God was about to destroy the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, he behaved in a very interesting way. Many of us probably wouldn't have behaved like that. When he learned that God was about to destroy those cities, and Abraham knew that his relative Lot was there, he started bargaining with God. Yes, that's what you just heard. Bargaining with God. Does this sound like being a person who has some chutzpah? Does this sound like a person who has the nerve to do something? Oh, yes, it does. It certainly does, ladies and gentlemen. And Abraham was such a person. You know, uh, sometimes I think we understand the word humble in a twisted manner, you know. Sometimes we think that Christians need to be humble, uh, and yes, we need to be humble, of course. But sometimes we just don't understand what the word humble means. You know, I understand this word humble as as looking at yourself the way God looks at you, no more and no less. You know, yes, I know we're servants of God who, like Jesus said, do not deserve to be praised, when we do good, of course, yes. But at the same time, we're the children of the Most High God. And these two things, they coexist in us. And it's okay, you know. Being humble does not mean that you need to accept everything that is going on around you, you know. Sometimes we need to take a stand and make a difference in our community, in our lives, and not just accept what comes our way. And I know that ancient prayer, that God, give me the power to receive, what I cannot change, and the understanding of things that I can change, and the wisdom to differentiate between them, right? Uh, so Abraham, in that particular situation, he started bargaining with God, and he started pleading with God and asking God to have mercy on that particular location if he found like 50 righteous persons there. They started out with 50. And then he bargained with God even more, like they do in the Middle East, and they brought that number to 10. And that was the final number. And God said, okay, if I find 10 righteous folks in those cities, I will not destroy those cities. But God did not find 10 righteous persons in Sodom and Gomorrah. We know that from the Bible, Genesis 18. So you see, Abraham showed us a very good example there, that sometimes it's even okay to bargain with God, to ask God, very difficult questions. God is not afraid of your difficult questions. He wants your heart. He wants your sincerity. He wants, he knows you. He knows that you have certain difficult questions, in your head. And he is not afraid of your questions. He is the master of the universe. He's the God of the universe. So sometimes it's absolutely okay, to even like argue with God, sometimes. Oh yes, friends. Sometimes we can even do that. With an open heart, with a sincere heart, you can ask God even difficult questions, and that's okay, God may answer our questions right away, or he may not. He does not have to respond to us immediately the way we want him to. But, God wants us to be ourselves, to speak what's on our minds. Okay, the next example of this positive chutzpah, or positive state of being brave and being have the audacity, to do something is the example of Moses. In the book of Genesis 32, we read his example where God was about to destroy the nation of Israel. Remember that incident with the golden calf? And he told Moses, Moses, I'm about to destroy the nation of Israel. And you know what? I want you to become a new patriarch. And I will make a new nation from you. And remember what Moses said? Moses said, God, if you want to destroy the nation of Israel, then destroy me as well, because I'm part of that nation. I don't want to be separate from this nation. Have mercy on this nation. God, I do not picture myself without this nation of Israel. And you know what? The God of the whole universe listened to Moses and said, okay, I'm going to give them another chance. Wow. I understand Moses was a great man of God, but at the same time, he was a man still. And God listened to him. And God basically answered his prayer. If that is not being bold, then what is? Frankly, if that is not having some positive chutzpah, then what is? Friends, today I would really like us to think about these things and maybe to change the way we think about this a little bit. Have the boldness to do good things in this world. Have the boldness to proclaim the gospel to the ends of the earth. Have the boldness to make a difference in our communities. One last example I want to give you from the book of the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, the famous story of that lady who was suffering from a serious illness, and she was broke. She didn't have a penny, basically, because she had spent all that money on doctors, and she was desperate. And you know what? When people are desperate, they tend to be bold sometimes, because they don't have any other option. But be bold and dare. And she did. She dared touch the hem of Jesus' garment. Although she was not supposed to do that, because first of all, she was a lady, and that was very unseemly for a lady, especially in that era in the Middle East, to go ahead and touch, a strange man, like right there in the open, even the hem of his garment. At the same time, she had this sickness that made her ritually impure. And she was not supposed to touch anybody, period, in the first place. Because by touching somebody, she made that person ritually impure as well. So what did she do in that particular situation, in that particular dead end, so to speak? She went ahead and she dared touch the hem of Jesus' garment, friends. And Jesus turned around and said, "Who touched me?" And his disciples were like, there is a crowd standing around you, Rabbi. What are you talking about? And he said, "I know somebody touched me." And the lady said, "I did." And Jesus did not rebuke her, but he actually praised her and said, "Daughter, you be healed from your sickness and you will be whole again. You know, good job, daughter. Go home in peace. Wow. Wow. That is holy boldness, ladies and gentlemen. That is holy. That is some holy brazenness, you might say. She had the nerve to do that. She dared to be healed. And she got what God wanted her to have in the first place. So, to sum it up, what conclusion can we come up with at the end of our conversation? We need to be bold for good things, brothers and sisters. Yes, we got to be humble before God and, have the correct perspective on ourselves. That's right. But at the same time, there are situations when we need to make that step, when we need to make that decision, when we need to make a difference, to stand up for righteousness, for Christ's sake. And tell somebody, not on my watch. That's right, by the way. That's right. Ты остановил, Рон? Ну, что такое? Ну, зачем ты? Yeah. I just wanted to say a special hello to the people from West Central High School. Go Heat. And so, to make a conclusion on what we talked about, I just wanna say that we need to be bold. When it comes down to taking a stand for something that's right. We need to be bold to proclaim the gospel. Especially in these trying times that we're living in, interesting times. We need to be bold and have the chutzpah to make a difference in our communities. To even like in the basic things in our lives. Somebody may be, too hesitant to propose to their loved one. And they just keep on being friends for years on, and the guy just doesn't have the right audacity, just go ahead and propose, finally. And that poor girl, like, she's still waiting for him to propose, and he can't seem to make a decision. So that's what I'm talking about, friends. To have the guts, to have the nerve, to have the audacity even, chutzpah, to do good things, to ask somebody for forgiveness. I know it's hard sometimes to ask somebody to forgive you, but sometimes it's just worth it, and you need to do it by all means. And to have the nerve, to maybe start a business that you always dreamed about, or to start a new project that you always dreamed about. It takes some guts, it takes some nerve to do that. And you know what? The most difficult thing in the whole process is the first step. So that's the scariest part usually. Once you take that first step, believe me, I've done this. It becomes easier down the road. And, that first step is the toughest one. So just pray about it. And if you feel like it's God's will for your life and it's the right thing to do and it's going to be God pleasing, just go ahead and just maybe even shut your eyes and say a prayer and take that step. And you will not regret. If it's God's will, if it's pleasing to God, you will not regret that you took that step, that you took a stand for the God's causes, and you will not regret that. But if we lose these opportunities, to be bold and to make a difference, maybe even like start your own YouTube channel. I just started it about 2 weeks ago. And, believe me, it was a challenge to me just to start my own YouTube channel. But with God's help, I was able to do that. And and I see that it's making a difference in people's lives. And, I'm getting some feedback. By the way, if you are watching this video, can you please support this project with your prayers, with your likes, with sharing this information with others, with your subscriptions. Subscribe to this channel, and thank you for watching this video, and God bless you.